First and foremost, I'm Michael Ratliff. I currently work as the Central Premier Director, also serve the club as the Premier Executive, and am right now kind of overseeing the elite platform for our U10s through U12s through this tryout process. I've also got Ryan Handbury on here today to help me keep up with letting everybody in and also address any of the questions as we go. So thank you for taking time to join us this evening. Hopefully this is good information for everyone and helps provide a little bit more clarity into our programming. Yeah, so we'll just talk through our player pathway as we go here to get started, just to give everybody a good idea of what our programming looks like across the board, and we'll dive in a little bit more in depth into our elites as we go. Starting at our juniors program, we've got our U5 through U9. The idea being there is that we bring in players through the juniors program and kind of slowly introduce them into our methodology, our game model, our playing style, and we'll grow them over the years and slowly get them molded from individual players up to U9, where we're talking more about team concepts and team playing. And then going into our U10 years, whenever, as many of the 2014 families on the call will see that, and 2013s, because it's new to this age group as well, is we have now 3 different platforms for our U10 age group and beyond to then go into. Starting at the top, we have our elite programming, which will be, one team at U10 through U12. Then just below that, we have our academy, which will be most age groups, we'll have multiple teams in those age groups. The other idea there is that we will have, kind of for players that don't get into the elite, or maybe elite's not a right fit for them, we also have that academy piece. And then also below that, we have our premier model, which will be U10 to U14 on here, but it does go all the way through the high school age groups. But at the premier level, again, we're going to have multiple teams. So there's lots of different options for our players as they come into the U10 age group and beyond, and to try to find the right pathway for each of those players will be important. So diving a little bit more in depth into the elite piece. We'll go, sorry. Here we go. Just talking specifically about our elite program here. We do have the tryout dates. They're listed on the website. They're going to be May 8th and 9th. The U10 boys are going to be 5 to 6:20 at Town and Country on the turf. Our U11 boys will be, our 2013 age group will be 6:30 to 7:50 at Town and Country. U12 will be 8 to 9:20 at Town and Country. Girls side is just a little bit, there is a bit of a difference in there. The May 8th tryout for the girls will be at NKU Stadium, and the May 9th tryout will be at Town and Country on the turf. Times are the same. U4 or the U10s will be 5 to 6:20. Our U11s are going to be 6:30 to 7:50, and then U12s will be 8 to 9:20. The fees for the programming is up on the KH Elite webpage, so you can go in there and check that out. I will make a note on there that, our fees are all inclusive. So what you see is what you pay for when you register to play with King's Hammer. The only exception within that would be the gear. We are going to be going into a new 2-year cycle in the upcoming 23-24 season. So, players will get new Nike kits to wear for the next 2 years. The next piece on there is just the staffing. We will publish our coach slate for the elite teams coming this week. In addition to that, we are going to have dedicated directors for the elite U10 through U12 teams. So we will have we'll have one director that'll oversee the U10, 11, and 12 girls. We'll have one director that'll oversee the U10, 11, and 12 boys side. So I think I've coached in this age groups and have done the pre-ECNL programming. So I think having someone come in this capacity is definitely going to help streamline communication and it'll be a little bit easier for these people to be able to make sure that these age groups are taken care of with the scheduling piece of it. So Ryan, any questions there? Do you want me to get into, right? Just based on that information?
No, the only question so far is, as this slide deck comes out, will you be sharing the slide deck that we're going through the presentation?
Yeah, I can do that. As I mentioned before, this meeting is going to be recorded, so I can share the recording out to everyone. So I can share the slide deck with the recording if we need to.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep. Program details, going in a little bit more in depth as to what the elite platform entails at these age group. The fall season will run August through early November. We will then have some winter training option, which will run November through December. And I'll go in more in depth into what is going on during those months when they're training. Spring season will be March through May. Some other good details for this would be that they're going to have access to VO, which would be the video recording software that we'll use. The other piece of it is just roster size. We are going to have just one team per age group at the elite level. So there'll be one U10 boys team, one U11 boys team, one U12 boys team. Girls side, it'll be one U10 girls team, one U11 girls team, one U12 girls team. Currently, we're averaging about 75 players registered per age group for this tryout. So really healthy numbers to go in. It's definitely going to be a very competitive tryout next week. Specifically about the U10 boys and girls, we are going to take 10 to 12 players on that team. They will play 7v7 and 9v9 format. Obviously, the U10 age group is slated to play 7v7, so they'll primarily be 7v7, and then we will kind of dabble into 9v9 and kind of grow that way through the fall, through spring season. U11 will be 12 to 14 players playing in a 9v9 format. U12 boys and girls will be 12 to 14 players, and they will play 9v9 and, again, dabble in some 11v11. Anything there, Ryan?
No, mate. No questions.
Okay. Appreciate it. So a big piece, I know a lot of people want to know some more details on this, so I'm going to share a little bit on it. There's still a few pieces that are not quite ready to be shared yet. Can say that you can obviously see the image over there. We will have a centralized site as a primary training location. Secondary training locations would include VOA, Warren County Sports Park, Town and Country, and NKU as our secondary sites. Just going back to point one, obviously, if you look at our base of players in the Cincinnati area, it stretches from Union all the way up to Lebanon. So that star kind of represents where that centralized location is going to be. We will announce that at a later time as the exact location for that, but I am here to say that they're going to primarily train there. One piece with this would be, we don't own that facility, so things come up within there that we may have to move training sessions to other locations. So that's where the secondary training sites would come up. We will do our best to communicate that in advance of those changes, because I know, like, if families coming from Union, we're going to want to know way in advance if they're going to have to train up at VOA in Warren County. But I am also here to say that we will try to use that sparingly. In the fall and spring, these teams will train 3x per week, so 3 sessions per week with their professional coach. And over the winter, during that winter months, it will be 1 session a week, because we obviously know that at this age, and I probably encourage it as well, that players are participating in other sports, other extracurricular activities. I think it's definitely a good, healthy habit for players these age. And one piece that I'll definitely put in here is just looking at the tryout numbers and some of the current rosters that are playing in Pre-ECNL. The most beneficial aspect of these elite teams is definitely going to be the training environment that they're going to be exposed to 3 times a week through the fall and through the spring season. I just wanted to make a point on that. I think that's definitely going to be a good thing for the players. So definitely over the winter, taking a little bit easy, because it will be a competitive environment whenever they're playing in the fall and spring. Ryan, anything I can address through those questions?
I was just going to reply to something in the chat, because somebody said, are you sharing the slide deck currently? Just want to make sure that everybody can see what's on your screen currently. So is everybody able to see the graphic of training?
I hope so. Otherwise, that's really awkward.
Okay. We're getting a mix of I can't see and yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if they have to click on your name just to be able to view it. Most people are yes. There's a few.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know if it's a phone thing. If some people are looking on a phone, it could be that. I'm not 100% on that. So, but no matter what, again, we'll share this out so people can take a look at it through the video link.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man. little bit more specific in here about the leagues. And I've got a little bit of experience the last year or so with playing within this, so I can, lean on some of those to talk about it. So the first league and the primary league that our U10 through U12s will participate in will be the Pre-ECNL. I put regional travel, so Lexington, Louisville, Indianapolis, Columbus. That's kind of the range for the Pre-ECNL league games. Every time we have a play date, you will play 2 games on that date. You will play each team in the conference in a home and away across the fall and the spring. Just going back to communicate a little bit about that. So the way it works is, let's say, for example, we're going to play Lou City. So in the fall, maybe we'll go to Lou City. We'll play them twice on a Saturday or a Sunday. In the spring, they will then come to us and we will play them twice on the day. There is a break between those games. And one thing that I've actually really enjoyed on the boys' side, and I've witnessed a little bit on the girls' side as well, is that the U10, U11, and U12s will all play kind of within the same block as each other. Typically, on the boys' side right now, the U10s and U11s play at the same time. Then the U12s play right after. And then the U11 and U10 boys will play again, and the U12s will play after that. So it's really cool because some of the players can then, they can watch other teams play. It's a little bit more than just showing up, playing your one game and leaving. So I think that's, and it's also replicated on the girls' side as well. We do the same thing on the girls' side. So the 10, 11, and 12s will always travel together and they'll play together for the most part. And again, just having that dedicated DOC will help streamline the communication and logistics. So for you guys, what does that mean? It just means more timely communication on the game details. Typically, the way it works is we get the schedule for the full year in the fall, and then we're able to then go back and then add times and exact locations and addresses as we get closer to those dates. My goal is that hopefully we'll be able to, with the dedicated director and working in a smaller group, that communication on the exact game times and locations will be a little bit quicker out to families. All of the teams will also have an opportunity to participate in a second league. We'll say it'll be kind of based on the team. U11 and U12 teams, they have the option to play in the Buckeye Premier League. We can play KPO. We can play in OSSL. If we do determine that we're going to play in KPL and OSSL, it will have to be this. The league will be determined by the roster makeup. So what does that mean? If there are more Kentucky players on the roster, we'll play in the Kentucky Premier League. If there's more Ohio players on the roster, we'll play in the Ohio State League. So that's where it comes down to. U10 is definitely a little bit different of a year because we don't, the state leagues aren't offered at U10. So our options are CPL, TPL, and Buckeye or friendlies. I actually, in the fall, did friendlies with my group of 2013s, and I think it worked out really well. We were able to get several friendlies in that basically constituted high-level competition, and they also got about 8 games out of that. So I think from my perspective, that is also a good option for U10s, but we can still do CPL, TPL, Buckeye if we need. And again, typically these leagues are all a self-schedule league. It'll basically kind of be scheduled around your pre-ECNL schedule and probably around family schedules as well. Anything there, Ryan?
No, mate, you're good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Getting into some events, there will be 4 to 5 tournaments. I did put showcase events as well. I'll kind of elaborate on that in a second. U11 and U12 teams can obviously participate in the Soccer Village Cup in the spring. In order to do that, they have to play in one of the state leagues or an approved league. So that would be TPL, Buckeye, KPL, or OSSL. And again, the roster makeup will determine if you're going to do the Kentucky State Cup or Soccer Village Cup or the Ohio Soccer Village Cup. And we'll definitely communicate those things in advance. So in the summer, you'll know about your fall events. And then in the winter, you'll know about the spring events. Just to go back up on the 4 to 5 tournaments there, we did put showcase, I think in the fall, our 2012 or 2011 pre-ECNL team went down to Atlanta to participate in a showcase there for ECNL. That could be an option next year for the 2012 age group. I'm not saying that's 100%. That might be something that the coach and the team needs to talk about, but that was a pretty cool event for them because then they got to get exposed to playing pretty high level competition in that showcase event as well. But as far as the tournaments go, everyone in this area probably knows there's some good tournaments around the Cincinnati area. So, we've got the Blue Chip in the fall. We've got some of the other events in the spring that we can participate in, as well as some travel events that if we want to go to those. But again, those will be communicated in advance. Brian, do you have anything I can add in on those, or just about events?
No, not about events. We did get a question about there is ECRL at the older age groups. I'm just trying to clarify that we only have one team per age, per gender in the pre-ECNL.
Yeah. Elite U10 through U12 is just going to be one team. And I guess we could, well, I'll touch on it now. So kind of going forward, the teams are not going to be named pre-ECNL or, at the older age groups, ECRL or ECNL, just for the simple fact that, leagues at the top level could change. Not saying that they will, but we don't want to kind of go down that road of naming our teams after leagues, because, in 5 years, ECNL may not be the most elite league and we may move into another platform. So trying to avoid so many name changes. And hopefully moving forward, I know it's a big change with all the name changes we're going through, but hopefully moving forward, we'll be able to have more clarity and more understanding based on how we're changing the names.
And there was a question with clarity to the showcase, so tournaments and showcases.
You need clarity there, or
yeah, the difference between the tournaments and a showcase.
So we, at these age groups, we're really not going to do many showcase. I did mention the one for our 2011 age group where they went down to Atlanta and participated in a showcase. So that was just, they went down and played, I think it was 3 to 4 games against other high-level ECNL teams that put their 2011s into that. So the only age group that would potentially do something like that would be the 2012s. But we just wanted to put that on there. I'm not sure what that will completely look like right now.
Thank you.
Yep. Diving in a little bit to the tryout process. Obviously tryouts, our registrations are through Playmetrics. The check-in system will be through Playmetrics. You're going to see coaches out with their phones out during the tryout process. They are actually evaluating players. Playmetrics came out with a really useful tool for us now that I'm pretty excited about, because it's going to help us be able to track players better. It's going to be able to allow us to evaluate players better. It's going to also allow us to then get quicker feedback back to parents post tryouts. So I think those are all going to be great tools for us, but that's probably why coaches are going to have their phones out during the tryout process, is because they're evaluating players after the check-in process. Would encourage players to attend both nights of tryouts if possible. Obviously, we host 2 nights of tryouts because we know that not everybody can make 2 nights of tryouts, but if you can be at both, I think it's best to be at both. So that's more exposure to the coaching staff that are there, better for your players. This is probably an important point, just given the nature of the competitive level that these teams are going to participate in. Is, if your player is not currently playing on an elite team, so I would say current pre-ECNL team, a top premier team, or a top team at your current club, I would encourage you to reach out to your coach, to your director of coaching, or myself to discuss tryout attendance for the elite program. As you know, there's an average of 75 players registered per age group for this tryout. So, and you saw that, we're only going to be taking one team per age group. So, it is an elite platform and it is going to be a competitive tryout. So I want to make sure that families have a good understanding of that. Another note for players that are in our club already, over the last year with the premier directors and myself, we've kind of used this tracking form. We call it just a player development tracking form at our 2013 and 2014 age groups, where we've checked in with the coaches over a couple of periods during the fall and spring and got feedback on their players, their entire roster. So us as premier directors, we have a spreadsheet that has the name of every player that's currently playing in the 2013-2014 age group. We've identified if they're playing up. We've identified, their primary and secondary positions. And we've also got feedback on kind of how they've been developing throughout the year. So those will be important pieces for this tryout, but not only for this tryout, but also for the academy level and also for the premier level, because it is also about the body of work that players put in coming into this period. The next piece I'll have on there is just we will get notification out within 48 hours, either via phone call or also with how we're doing Playmetrics, we are able to send a Playmetrics message out to everyone to kind of let them know what the status is post tryout. So within 48 hours, you'll either get a phone call or you're going to get a Playmetrics message that says, if you haven't received any communication, please plan to attend one of the academy tryouts that you selected in when you did the Playmetrics registration, or that you feel would be a best fit for a player. So we have the Academy North, which is primarily where the Sycamore and North program and Xenia kind of come together. Mr. Handbury here is the director up that way. And then we also have the South one, South Academy, which is where our South Premier and our Central Premier would come in as well from that. So just kind of get into that piece. Do you have any questions, Ryan, that I can answer?
Yeah, we just got a question come through. It says, it appears academy tryouts are on Tuesday, the day after elite. Should kids attend all 4 nights of the week of tryouts?
That's a tough one. I do understand that. We do understand that there could potentially be players that attend 4 nights of tryouts. So that's why, the statement was put in there to make sure that you know the level of competition and know kind of where your player is at. And I would encourage you to talk to your coach, to your director, myself, to see if it's, a good fit for you to come to the elite and the academy. But there still will be some players yes, there will be some players that are going to have to attend multiple nights of tryouts. I will say that we offer 2 nights of elite tryouts and 2 nights of academy tryouts. That doesn't mean that players have to attend all of those. I would probably encourage you to do that. So there is that players could potentially do 4 tryouts.
We did get a question defining the difference between elite and academy. I know obviously we shared information from the club and we've had many videos going out, but if you want to touch on just kind of how elite differs to academy, we did get a question on that.
Sure. Yes. So a few of the big differences between elite and academy is going to be definitely within some of the coaching staff. You're going to have a little bit better qualified coaches for these age groups at the elitist level. Not always the case, but you're going to have in general probably more elite coaches in that. Also, you're going to have the facility. The elite is going to train 3 days a week, all on turf, whereas the academy is going to probably do 1 day on grass, 1 day on turf, and then another day will kind of be dependent upon what that looks like, the EPT schedule. In addition to that, there is VO, so the video cameras for the elite. And then in addition to that, participation in the Pre-ECNL League is kind of just exclusively to the elite level players, which is also means we're going to be the elite is going to participate in the highest level of competition for all leagues and tournaments.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting questions and I can kind of answer it. I know because of certain people have training schedules currently still with tryouts. I can speak obviously that directors are working with current coaches to adapt training schedules and to work around tryouts if they haven't already. I don't know if you have further detail on that.
No, I'm in the same boat as you. We are going to have tryout. These will obviously conflict with training sessions. So I'll be working with the coaches in my program, and I know you will in your program, to work out how they're going to adjust tryouts and with the tryout schedule, with their training schedule over the next couple of weeks.
Laurie
balance out the logistics.
Laurie did put in here just to wear the same tryout shirt to all King's Hammer tryouts.
Oh, okay.
On that, but just to kind of make the point.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what Ryan said. Just make sure that if you do go to elites, wear the same tryout shirt for both nights, and then take that if you don't make it in on the elite level team, wear that at the academy tryout as well. Or if you do have kids, siblings of people that are on this call, if you're only going to go to academy, same thing with there, wear the same tryout shirt to academy that you would wear to Premier.
Couple of questions came through. I don't know if some people joined on a little later, but asking about the number of players on the teams. We did touch on it in the video, and we will be sharing the slide. But we got another question about numbers. We get a question: if you are on a current pre-ECNL team, should you attend all 4 nights?
Okay. Probably the answer there would be if you're currently on, yes. So it's you have to retry out every year. So yes, you'll need to come to the, if you plan to play on the elite team, you would need to go to the elite tryout. If your son or daughter does not make that team, then you would have to go to the academy tryouts.
Perfect, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the questions in the chat at this time.
Okay, great. All right. Well, again, we appreciate everyone taking a few minutes to jump on and kind of go through what the elite platform for these age group is going to look like. If you have further questions, again, you can, I'll go back to that slide.
I did just get a very good question, just so people can understand, Mike. It says, will the ECNL teams pull guest players from academy teams? And will there be any movement between programs during the year?
I'd say certainly, yeah. There will be movement between teams. You know, there will be guest playing that goes on. As everyone knows, you know, there's players that get injured. There's players that deserve opportunities to get in on different teams. So we do encourage guest playing. We'll have that happen. We also know that in the spring is, you know, you guys saw the map there. We have players all the way from Union all the way up to Lebanon. So that means spring breaks are going to be all over the place. So there's going to be ample opportunities for guest playing within those pieces as well. Cool. I'll just go ahead and end it there. So if anyone has any questions, there's my email address again, michael.r@kingshammer.com. If we didn't get to your question, or if you have further questions, you can email me. In addition to that, we'll make sure that this meeting gets, the recording of this meeting gets shared out to everyone. So once again, thank you all for taking your time. Thank you, Ryan, for helping me out. We appreciate everybody. Thanks.